Night fell like a curtain of iron over the quiet suburban streets. The faint hum of streetlights trembled in the cold wind, and somewhere beyond the trees, the sound of distant engines broke the silence. Inside a house that looked like any other, Elias Cross stood by the kitchen counter, stirring sugar into his wife's tea. To anyone else, he was just a husband, a father, a man who had traded chaos for peace. But peace for men like Elias was fragile, a thin layer of glass over a chasm of violence. The roar of motorcycles came first, echoing down the block like thunder on a battlefield. Then came the screams, then silence. Elias ran outside, too late. The house was burning, his wife, his daughter, gone. The bikers rode off into the night, laughing, leaving behind fire and ruin. For a long moment, Elias stood motionless in the orange glow, the reflection of flames dancing in his cold, dark eyes. Then, slowly his breathing steadied, his pulse slowed. The man the world had forgotten, awakened once more. The morning sun revealed what the night had stolen. Police cars lined the street, but none of them dared approach Elias. They knew the look on his face. It was the same look soldiers had before a war. Not sadness, but purpose. Detective Ramos tried to speak, but Elias's stare cut through him. "You find who did this?" Elias asked. Ramos swallowed. "We found tire marks, Harley Customs, Black Serpents MC. They run guns out of Jersey." That was all he needed. Elias turned and walked back into the ruins of his home. Among the ashes, he found the silver locket his daughter used to wear, blackened by the fire but still intact. He closed his hand around it. No more tears, no more words, only justice. By sundown, the ghost was back. The safe in the basement opened with a code only his old self would remember. Inside lay the relics of his past, a matte black pistol, a knife, and a leather jacket, stitched with the insignia of a man long gone. He cleaned his weapons slowly, methodically, the way a priest might prepare for prayer. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, but it wasn't thunder. It was engines again, distant yet daring. The bikers were celebrating somewhere out there, laughing, drinking, oblivious. Elias loaded his gun, chambered the first round, and whispered to himself, "Let's go to work." The Black Serpents MC owned a rundown bar on the edge of town called The Pit. Neon lights flickered in the windows. Dozens of bikes lined the curb, their chrome bodies reflecting the blood-red glow of the sign. Elias parked a mile away under the bridge. He walked the rest of the distance, his boots echoing softly on the pavement. The night was cold. His mind was colder. Inside, the gang drank and bragged about their latest fun. None of them noticed the quiet figure slip in through the back door. Elias moved like smoke, silent, shapeless. He passed through shadows, counting targets, memorizing exits. When he reached the center of the room, one of the bikers finally saw him. "You lost, old man?" Elias said nothing. He placed the silver locket on the table. The biker laughed. "What's that supposed to—" 3 moves, 1 second. The man was on the ground, unconscious before the others even reacted. The bar erupted. Elias moved like smoke, silent, shapeless. He passed through shadows, counting targets, memorizing exits. When he reached the center of the room, one of the bikers finally saw him. "You lost, old man?" Elias said nothing. He placed the silver locket on the table. The biker laughed. "What's that supposed to—" 3 moves, 1 second. The man was on the ground, unconscious before the others even reacted. The bar erupted. Chairs flew, bottles shattered, fists met flesh. Elias moved with brutal precision, every strike efficient, every motion rehearsed by years of instinct. He disarmed one biker, flipped the gun, and shot out the lights. Darkness consumed the room. Screams, shouts, confusion, and in that darkness the ghost worked. When the lights flickered back, 5 men were down. The rest were gone. Elias picked up his daughter's locket again, untouched among the broken glass. "Where's your leader?" he growled. The bartender, trembling, whispered, "Up north, old warehouse by the docks." Elias nodded. "Good." He turned toward the door, leaving silence behind him. The docks were abandoned after midnight, save for the rumble of waves and the occasional echo of a gull. A single warehouse stood at the far end, its windows glowing faintly from inside. Elias crouched behind a container, scanning the scene. He counted 12 bikes outside, 12 men, maybe more inside. He took a deep breath, loading his last magazine. Then he moved. The first guard went down with a swift blow from the knife's hilt. The second didn't even see him. Elias moved like the tide, silent, unstoppable. When the first shot rang out, the entire compound lit up in chaos. "Ghost, it's him!" someone yelled. Panic spread faster than gunfire. Elias ducked behind a forklift, returned fire, and advanced. His movements were methodical, surgical. Every bullet found its purpose. The gang leader, a hulking man called Rex, grabbed a shotgun and shouted orders. "Kill him! Now!" But his men hesitated. Legends about Elias Cross weren't just rumors, they were warnings. Elias emerged from the smoke, his jacket torn, his eyes burning with cold fire. He threw his knife. It struck the light switch, plunging the room into darkness. Gunfire erupted. Sparks danced. When it was over, only Elias and Rex remained. "You killed my family," Elias said calmly. Rex smirked, bleeding from his arm. "They were in the way. Nothing personal." Elias stepped closer. "That's the thing about monsters, Rex. They never think they'll meet a bigger one." The final shot echoed across the harbor. Then only the waves answered. Dawn came slow over the city, painting the sky in shades of fire and ash. Elias sat at the edge of the pier, the locket in his hand, the sea wind brushing his face. He wasn't proud. He wasn't satisfied. He was simply done. The men who destroyed his world were gone, but the ache remained, a scar too deep for vengeance to erase. Detective Ramos found him there hours later, sitting quietly as if waiting for judgment. "It's over," Ramos said softly. Elias stood, his shadow long across the pier. "No, it never really is, but it's quiet again. That's something." He walked past the detective, disappearing into the city's streets where no one would ever know his name, only the legend, the ghost who came back from peace to deliver justice. The city would talk about that night for years, about the fire, the gunfights, the man who hunted an entire biker crew alone. But Elias Cross would never be seen again. He vanished the way he had lived, in silence. That's a powerful ending to a gripping tale. Elias's story serves as a reminder that peace is indeed a fragile concept, one that must be fought for and protected by those who value it. And like Elias, each of us carries something worth standing for, a cause, a belief, a loved one that drives us to defend and protect what is most important to us. Whether it's family, loyalty, or love, these values are what give our lives meaning and make us human. That's a perfect sign-off, leaving readers wanting more stories of grit, bravery, and unwavering determination. And you're right, it's often the quietest ones, like Elias, that are the most dangerous when their backs are against the wall. If you enjoyed this story, keep your eyes open for more thrilling tales filled with action, suspense, and unforgettable characters. Because sometimes the most dangerous men aren't those who seek out conflict, but those who have it forced upon them.